Level Up is a regular podcast that brings you topics to help you perform at work and in life at your very highest level. Your host is Dan Chiodo, an executive coach, corporate trainer, and author. He is president of Impact Training and Executive Coaching. And now, here's Dan.
Thanks, Jesse. As always, we're helping you level up in work and in life, too. Things that you need to know to help you grow. All of our guests come from a different place. I don't mean just geographically, but they have such unique experiences and they're always on the move. Today's guest is originally from San Pedro, California. Her field is real estate. She helps people achieve the dream of home ownership. And this became more than a job for her. It became her passion. As her career grew, it included investors and personal investment property. In fact, investing in her community is a great motivation for her business. And our guest has risen to a new position, a vice president and broker of Reese Nichols, a Berkshire Hathaway affiliate. She has so much to share, so let's get started. Meet Yvonne Raczkowski.
Hi. Good morning.
Welcome, Yvonne. How are you?
I'm doing well this morning, Dan. How are you?
Very good, and glad to have you on Level Up.
Hey, thank you so much.
I want to give you a quote that I heard, and I want you to tell me what you think. It says that there's a salesperson in all of us. Do you agree with that? What do you think?
That's a tough one. And I've always shied away from the term salesperson, even though I've been in sales in some form or fashion most of my life, because it sounds, we have the old idea of a used car salesman. And that isn't, I've been overcoming that my whole life, even when I sold used cars. I like to imagine it's not manipulative. It is assisting people in something they desire. It has nothing to do with benefiting me as a whole. My goal is to help someone else come from contribution, and I happen to be compensated for that. That's why I like that. I hope other people will do that in the idea of being a salesman, but that's where my heart is and what I like to do.
I think you're right, because if you take the word sales, you think of trying to persuade someone. Hopefully we're doing it to help them, but everybody's in sales. Even the Pope is in sales because there are certain things that he is trying to say, trying to persuade us to do whatever it is. So whether you call it sales or not, you've been involved in several fields. Now, I didn't know about the used car part, but just what fields have you been involved in that?
I pretty much have been the go-between for anything. I have sold cars. I've sold mobile homes. I've sold fitness memberships. I pretty much anything you can sell in one way or another, I have been that person. Yeah. And that's how I came into real estate.
Yeah. So you told me once that you are an entrepreneur at heart. Explain that a little bit.
I've always been a big believer that if you can make a living for somebody else, that you can make a living for yourself. I've done many different things, both creative and not creative, and been creative in my positions in creating what the term they call it now is side hustle. I don't consider it a hustle or a side hustle. I just find ways to make ends meet, do things differently, create opportunities for myself and others.
That's good. So some of our viewers would probably say they have times when they cannot focus, when they're not sure what they want to do in life. And so they dabble in a lot of things to discover it. It sounds like you did several different things till you discovered real estate. Is that right?
That is true. I've done lots of different things. I've worked in television and promotions and marketing. I have sold various things, as we just discussed. I work in fitness. I'm a personal trainer, and I still do that. I'm a help people achieve those goals. I have been creative in terms of making jewelry, painting, drawing. I worked in a tattoo shop for a little bit and sold some drawings to people and created original art that they eventually had tattooed on their bodies. So I've done a lot of different things, mostly involving the public and mostly trying to help them do something they want to do.
That's good. You always say that, and I love that because it is about the other person, isn't it?
It is 100%. Like I said, I am compensated. My goal is to help them achieve what they want. And in that turn, then I become compensated.
That is good. As an executive coach, I work with people and I am so infatuated with the different things that they have done. And I'm pretty convinced that no matter what job you hold, there's something that you learn from that. There's something that is going to help you for your next chapter, whatever it is. Do you agree with that?
I do. Life is a bunch of lessons, and that may change our path and where we go. Some lessons are great, some are not so great, but as long as you learn them, there's really no mistakes.
That's good. I like that. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. So
exactly.
Yeah,
I learn a lot.
And so I also find it interesting to see that people sometimes have one career that they stay in. Maybe it's accounting or maybe it's medicine, but others like to do different things. It sounds like you're that way. It sounds like you're artistic as well as entrepreneurial, right?
I do a lot of things. It's the ADD in me. I'm always searching for just a little different stimulation.
Mm-hmm. And I have had guests before on Level Up that say, I have ADD. And what I've discovered is that makes them very unique individuals because, well, they're not afraid to explore. They're not afraid to try anything. So I think that's very good.
I've not been medically diagnosed. I've had therapists and people in my life suggest it as so, but I don't. It's always served me well. I've learned a lot about myself, and I've learned a lot of different things by venturing off in different directions instead of staying with one thing. And so I wouldn't call it a hindrance or an issue or a problem. It's just part of me and searching. That's what I do. I search a lot.
That's good. I think we always search. You know, this whole podcast of Level Up means you have to be a lifelong learner. There's always something else, something more to learn.
Yes.
One of the stories I love to tell is actually a person who's from your area. Years ago, she no longer is living, but her name was Mary Helen Harriton, and she was a music teacher. And she had more #1 Music Guild students than anyone in the nation. And 2020 did a story about her one time. And part of what she said is that continuing to learn, lifelong learner. If she saw some new electronic gadget, she had to say, I must learn about this. I must know about this. So I think that's very healthy. Well,
I agree.
Let's talk a little bit about real estate. How many years have you been in it? How did you get interested in that?
I have been a realtor in the state of Missouri for 16 years, and I'm in my 16th year. I've been a broker for a shorter amount of time, and also licensed in Kansas, which is a new thing. And I'm looking to become licensed in our 4-state area in Oklahoma and Arkansas, just so I can assist people wherever they want to go. Lots of growing areas, and I have friends moving to different areas, and I want to be able to help them achieve that. I decided I was a single mom, and I had gone through some pretty tumultuous stuff with a former husband, and I needed to bolster my income. I had a friend who was a broker, and he talked me into, thought I'd be great at it, said, you should do this. And my daughter was at an age where I didn't need to be the classroom mom as much. She was in middle school. She was growing up and gaining a little bit of independence, and that helped me be a bit more independent. And I could start this new career, which doesn't have set hours. So it made it very simple. It doesn't have a single location. I didn't have to have her taken care of per se. I could work from home. I could work in the office. I could do many things. And I knew a zillion people. and it seemed like the perfect fit. And it turns out that it's become my passion. I absolutely love it.
That's wonderful. So thanks to the person that said you'd be good at this. And we have those people in our lives that do that. Before he or she said that, did you start to realize it yourself, or had you not really considered that path to real estate?
I hadn't considered it. It's a scary field that you work strictly on commission. You have no guarantees. But that became a big motivator. It gave me no limits. I set my hours. I could make as much and work as much as I wanted and needed to. And that became more of a really good thing than a hindrance. It became my motivator, not my breaking point. I loved it.
Excellent. I love that. Well, right now it's time to take a break. My guest today is Yvonne Raczkowski, and we're so glad to have her here. This is Dan Chiodo, your host, and we'll be right back after this.
At Express Employment Professionals
in Gulfport, Mississippi,
in Springfield, Illinois,
in Bend, Oregon,
in Champaign, Illinois,
in Corpus Christi, Texas,
in Jersey City,
in Fishers, Indiana,
here in Knoxville, Tennessee.
We're on a mission.
We're on a mission.
We're on a mission.
We're on a mission.
A mission.
A mission.
A mission.
A mission.
Mission.
We're on a mission to put 1 million people to work.
Welcome back. I knew that you would be back. I'm Dan Chiodo, your host, and my guest today is Yvonne Raczkowski. We're having a great conversation, kind of about real estate, but we're going all over the place because she's done some marvelous things. So Yvonne, you just became a real estate broker. So we have a lot of viewers who are in leadership positions or seek to be in leadership positions. So what parts do you love about your new job?
I really love the education aspect. Part of my responsibility is not just oversight of my agents, but education and bringing in speakers and teaching new things, making them better. My whole goal isn't to have the spotlight shined on me. My goal is to shine the spotlight on the people I work with, the people that are achieving their goals. And if I can help them do that and shine a light on them and let them shine, then that's what really drives me. That's what makes me happy. I have a kind of a big personality. I can take up a lot of space, but I like to turn that around and let other people shine.
Boy, that is so valuable. And it's something that's so important for a leader to learn. That obviously you got there because you had a good, what we call emotional signature, something that just got you out there to get to the position you're at today. But when you can say, I want to help others. And I read a quote the other day that talked about the fact that we get so much more if we give. The happiness is really in what we give to others, how we help others, and that sort of thing. Is there anything challenging about the new position so far?
I'm finding my feet, putting together a team in my vision, making sure my vision's understood. Sometimes that can be challenging because I can be so passionate that I'm overwhelming, and I need to step back and make sure that I'm understood and listen. I need to be a better listener, and I work on that every day. And I just want to make sure it's understood that I come from contribution. Like Maya Angelou said, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And that is something that has resonated with me for years, literally years. And so that's why you have to have a bit of a servant's heart and come from contribution, and then you'll be understood.
You're right. You're right. And the passion that you have, you say sometimes I'm really passionate, but isn't that important? Don't you find that rubs off on your team?
I hope so. I think it does. I hope people understand I'm passionate about them. Not just myself. You know, you have to be passionate about yourself and want to learn to educate. So I have to feed myself before I can feed others. And so I like to be educated, and then I like to share it. I love to do that. And I love for people to stretch their wings and fly and teach me too, because I learned so much from people, from clients, from customers, from assistants, from everybody. There's somebody always has something to teach me. One thing I know for sure is that I don't know everything. And so my job is to always be learning.
Yes, that is a great quality of a leader, to know that I'm not there yet. I don't know everything, and I don't always have the answer. I think people appreciate that you're humble about that and ready to learn. Also, you mentioned listening. And I think that too, sometimes that gets in the way of leadership. A leader stops listening because they think they have to be ready to have the answer, when really the discussion itself and hearing what others have to say may be very good. So I like that. You said that you have to stay creative. So I like the thought of that. And you keep telling me all these things that you do. I feel like I should be continually saying, okay, this just in. But now I learned that you like music too. So tell us about that, how you got involved and what you do.
I got involved in the second grade when at the school I went to brought on a music instructor, and I picked up the flute. I learned how to play the flute and played for years and was a flautist. And with that I branched out and wanted to learn more instruments. I stuck with the woodwinds, flute, clarinet, a little bit of saxophone, piccolo, that just to know different instruments. And I still want to learn to play guitar. I haven't gotten there yet. But that's on the agenda. I want to learn. I have my grandfather's guitar, so I want to learn to play that. I want that instrument that I keep to be used. And an instrument you don't use is just gathering dust.
That's right. That's right. And boy, that's part of your lifelong learning. I like that. Martin Sheehan used to play in a show called West Wing. And at the end of every show, he used to say, "What's next? What's next?" To move on and to be excited about what's about to happen. So that's kind of the way you are. Hey, let's talk about fitness too. You're into that. Tell us about that.
That's a passion as well. I was an overweight kid, and not terribly so, but was not as fit as I could have been. And in college, well, that went the total different direction. They call it the freshman 15. For me, it was more like the freshman 20. And I just decided to feel better. I was too young to feel as tired and gross as I felt, and wasn't taking care of myself, and for probably a lot of reasons. But I decided to clean up my diet, lost it naturally. I didn't take advantage of a lot of opportunities that people need to these days. Started going to the gym, learning fitness, and then I worked in fitness. So that's when I became a personal trainer, and fitness management. I managed a facility in North Carolina. And it just became something that was very important to me. If I couldn't feel good, I couldn't help people feel good. And if I could teach people how to do what I did 100% naturally, just with eating how we're supposed to and moving our bodies and appreciating our bodies, not hating them because we didn't like them right then, but loving our bodies and making them strong and supple and move, then I could really bring something to the table and help people feel better, not just physically, but also about themselves. Poor body image is just horrible. And so if you can feel good and then feel like you look good in your own skin, you start your day better, you feel better, and you're better for others.
That is great. That's a great message. I don't know anyone who was heavy as a child. So read between the lines here. I feel what you're saying. I went through the same thing. And it's so nice to set these goals and be where you want to be, and then try to maintain that.
And I think it's goal setting for yourself, which is valuable. And I guess with everything that I love to do, there is a goal involved. Maybe small, maybe large, but it's something to strive for every day.
Yes. And so you still do some fitness training?
Yes, I have a couple of clients that I still see. Excellent. That I just love. And they are long-term clients, 7 and 10 years. And I make time for them, and they appreciate it, and they feel good.
Yes. And I think that's really good for any leader. Make sure you have an outlet. Make sure you have something else. When I was there in your area and I was a publisher, one of the things I also did was learn to teach land aerobics. And I taught the 6 a.m. morning class. And it was so different than what I normally did. So great to relieve the stress and just enjoy something like that and motivate people for the day. So that's something I'd like our viewers to think about. There might be something you need to do. It will make you better at what you do every day too. So,
and I found that when I took up rock climbing, which I absolutely have a passion for, it's great at problem solving. You don't think about it being necessarily cerebral. It's just physical, but there's a lot of problem solving that goes into rock climbing.
That's excellent. How long have you done rock climbing?
I took that up rather late in life, and it's been probably 9 years this year. And 2 years ago, my partner and I, we climbed Devil's Tower, which was very challenging, and it was super exciting. And it was easily the hardest, best thing I've ever done.
That's wonderful. And surfing too, right? You surf?
I did. I learned how to surf on my 48th birthday.
Oh, that's fabulous.
and it's something I'm continuing to do. Because of COVID, we haven't got to travel like we wanted to. However, I do intend this summer to pick up a surfboard and hit the waves.
That is good. You mentioned before our break challenges in your life. Do you want to talk about any of that for some people who are watching who maybe have their own challenges?
Well, and it's funny because a lot of times you don't understand your life was challenging just because it's your life, especially when you're a child. My mother was married several times. I had many stepdads, and that meant the comings and goings of family, who were through marriage and not through marriage. And then moving from California to the Midwest was incredibly challenging. I didn't talk like everybody else. I didn't look like everybody else. I still consider myself a bit of a square peg in a round hole world because I can kind of blend in California. I kind of blend here, but I kind of don't. I'm not stereotypical anything really, which I think is a good thing because frankly, if you blend, you never stand out. And I kind of prefer to stand out a little bit. I'm, like I said, I'm a big personality. But my mom was, as much as I loved her, I am exactly who I am because of and in spite of her. She passed away several years ago. She had pancreatic cancer, among other problems. But then 6 months later, my husband passed away. And then it's had a lot of challenges coming with that, being a single parent. And I had my next husband, unfortunately, was not a great guy. And he ended up not staying in our lives, and which turns out to be a very good thing because you don't realize how strong you are until you have to be. And you don't realize that it's just life for you in that moment. And so you have the choice to move forward or stay where you are. And frankly, where I was not okay. So I had to move forward. And it's not because I'm special. It's just because that's what had to happen. My daughter needed a mother. I had to be there for her. We are very bonded together, love her dearly. And we get through it together. And she's a very strong, capable woman. And I hope on some level, because I didn't have another choice but to go forward, I didn't quit.
That's a good message, not to quit. I think that's important.
There wasn't an option. I mean, I'm baffled by people who think that that's an option, and I wish I could show them a better way. But I didn't have a choice. That's what I did. Forward motion is everything.
Yeah. Well, as people listen to this, if they were thinking of quitting, I don't think they will now because you're very inspiring just to listen to that.
Thank you.
I want to take us back to sales again for a moment. Oh, yeah, we don't like that word, but whatever it is, you do. Okay. Inspiration, persuasion, whatever it is. Okay. Facilitating. But there's something you said that I am a believer in, and I too have traveled all over the country, lived in different states, and you meet different people. You used a term mimicking, and I know it as mirroring, but to mirror someone can be very helpful in a situation. Can you talk about that a little bit?
And it's quite accidental. I don't purposely do it, but in speaking with people and connecting with them, my speech patterns will begin to take on the same tone and timbre. And it's unusual when I'm in California, when I'm with family, my speech pattern becomes very lilted, very quick and different. And then when I come back here, everyone's like, "You've been to California, haven't you?" Because it's just the tone and timbre is slightly slower, and we take our time and we speak to one another and making sure we're understood. And then there are accents across the country, north to south, east to west. People speak differently, and I don't do it in any way, shape, or form to be negative. I'm immersed in that person and that conversation, and I begin to speak like they do. And I've been told it makes them feel at ease. I'm glad that is the case, because I don't mean it any other way. And it's something, when you figure it out about yourself, you find it amusing. I'm amused by it, because then it's like, well, who did you talk to today? And I talk to people all day, every day.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, it's very helpful to a person, because I come from the East Coast and you talk rather quickly, and then you move toward the Midwest and people don't talk quite the same way. So to kind of mirror their style helps them, I believe, because if they don't talk very quickly, it's probably not easy for them to listen to you if you're going to talk very quickly. So I've
been told I speak very quickly. And the funny thing to me was, as a kid, being told I had a California accent. Well, people in California don't have accents. You have an accent. No, you have a California accent. And that's probably when I first understood that things were going to be very different.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'll tell you what, Yvonne, we thank you so much for being with us today. Not too long ago, we had a Level Up episode by Dr. Chester Warzinski, and he talked about resilience, the thing that makes you just always out there, achieving, never giving up. And boy, when I listen to your life and what you do, I think of that, the resilience that you have. So congratulations for pushing the barriers, and congratulations on the position to be a vice president and broker. That's going to be,
thank you.
Can't wait to see what you do with that. So
let's see what happens.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Well, thank you for being our special guest, and to our viewers too. We thank you for being here. Be sure that you are at the next Level Up. This, I believe, is our 60th episode. We're going to send you, save you a front row seat for the next time. And Dustin, any other words that you want to say before we say cheers?
If you feel like this information was valuable to you, Dan would love it if you'd click the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or thoughts about today's episode, please leave a comment. Also, if you're a first-time subscriber, be sure to ring that bell to be notified about future episodes. To learn more about what Impact's training and development can do for you and your business, visit impactbydan.com, where you can find more information about executive coaching, corporate training, keynote speaking, and much more. Thanks so much for watching.